On this edition of Bay Area Bountiful, we ask the question, what makes a community sustainable? There are many facets of sustainability, from energy use and human capital to transportation and future strategic planning. Sustainability is the goal of many communities in Northern California, and we explore how businesses, transportation hubs, and municipalities are finding sustainable solutions to everyday problems. It's all coming up next on Bay Area Bountiful.
Bay Area Bountiful is made possible in part by Rocky the Free-Range Chicken and Rosie the Original Organic Chicken. The Sonoma County Agricultural Preservation and Open Space District, Made Local Magazine, and Sonoma County Go Local. Support also provided by Pepperwood Preserve and through the generous support of the Sonoma County Water Agency. Cultivate, celebrate, connect.
Situated along the dramatic Mendocino coast of Northern California, North Coast Brewing has been experimenting with perfecting sustainable practices. Their innovative partnerships include supporting family farms by delivering spent grain, hops, and yeast slurry to build healthy soil. They also support the preservation and study of marine mammals off the Pacific coast. These practices support the community and help the environment.
The Mendocino coast is a relatively remote area at the end of a curvy 33-mile mountain road. And with the Coast Range at our back and the Pacific Ocean spread out in front of us, our lives are conducted within this small strip of coastal hills and headlands. The place helps to define the beers because these brands all grew up here. They're the product of people who felt like we did about being in Fort Bragg. Everything that we did from the very beginning was our own take on a classic effort.
To make these traditional beers really well, we have to pay attention to detail. It starts with the formulations of the beer, and then it goes to day-to-day production. The ingredients have to be top quality. Things have to be clean and sterile and done the same way every time.
We get to do business without the distractions of being in a giant urban area, inspired every day by the beautiful place that we live, and surrounded by a very supportive community.
It's very satisfying when you feel like you're a part of a community that appreciates what you do. They appreciate the beers, they appreciate our dedication to the community, and it never stops being fun, seeing somebody with our beer in their grocery cart.
I think what we do is reflected by where we are. You look to the west and you have the Pacific Ocean. You look to the east and you have the redwood trees. We're very unique in that, and I think because of that, we'll make unique beers.
There's three big changes happening in the ocean. They're getting warmer, they're becoming more acidic, and in some spots less oxygen. They're becoming hypoxic. These are all really dramatic changes, and it's very possible that what we see right now may be the future. The sea lions, they're one of the best species we can be studying to really understand how the oceans work and how they're changing, and also they can help us figure out how we're going to adapt to those changes. There are 5 different species of sea lions. The biggest of them all is the Steller sea lion. A male Steller sea lion can weigh over 2,000 pounds. At the Open Water Research Station, we are testing hypotheses to explain why some populations are increasing while others are declining. Since the late 1970s, we've seen over an 80% decline in Steller sea lions. We brought trained animals and we've set up experiments so we can essentially control the environment. We can take them up into some really deep water and allow the sea lions to move in the ways that they do naturally. By working with them, we could get some insights into the lives and the decisions that sea lions make that we can use to interpret the data we're getting from Alaska, from British Columbia, and elsewhere around the world. Each year, we don't know if this is going to be our last year to keep this going or not. We do it on a shoestring budget, and as a result, our staff have also been looking, along with me, for other possibilities for money. One of our technicians noticed red seal ale, and he put in a call. And the person that he spoke to was the head brewer for North Coast Brewing.
I was always interested in the water and always interested in life in the sea, and got my degree in zoology with the thought that I would one day work as a marine biologist. When we ended up here on the Mendocino coast, we started a brewery instead, and so it seems natural for us to support this kind of work. Eventually, we came up with the idea for North Coast Stellar IPA and put together the group we plan to support, including the Marine Mammal Research Institute at the University of British Columbia, led by Andrew Treitz, the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito, and the Noyo Center for Marine Science right here in Fort Bragg.
I was at my desk one morning and received a call from Mark. He had been put in touch with us by virtue of relationships we have with the University of British Columbia. And what Mark was intent on doing was leveraging their work at the brewery with the work of many of us in the marine mammal research community on the West Coast.
We are in the classrooms teaching kids about marine mammals and their oceans. We're out in the tide pools doing surveys to see how our oceans are changing. These are the kind of things that our partnership with the brewery are going to help us continue to grow and build.
This support from the North Coast Brewery allows us to make sure we have all the resources in place to provide the very best care for these animals while learning about their ocean home.
The relationship that we built with these animals is allowing people to get to know them in ways that we've never known sea lions before. And what the sea lions have been teaching us has expanded our knowledge about the entire North Pacific Ocean, and that's helping to conserve them in the wild.
Our hope is that this really helps to raise awareness for what is a very serious environmental problem.
The first thing I can ever remember wanting to do was to own and run a farm. But I had always thought that that would be impossible, especially while I was still young enough to do the work. My great-grandparents had a 5-acre production farm. We had an orchard, bees, livestock. To me, that was normal life. And I don't really ever want to live any other way. My family and I had been looking at this farm, but didn't see it as something that was possible for us. But through working with the North Coast Brewing Company, we were able to make it happen. Now, my family and I are living on the farm. We run a small compost operation using the spent grain, hops, and yeast slurry from the brewing company.
Breweries in other parts of the country typically sell their spent grain to cattle farmers, and the farmers end up with an inexpensive feed for their cattle. Because that type of agriculture isn't really practiced on the Mendocino coast, we were forced from the beginning to explore other options.
The brewery truck comes a couple times every day and delivers spent grain, hops, or yeast slurry. And we mix in some redwood sawdust, wood chips, carbon material, and we aerate the material and add oxygen to it. The finished result of combining all of these materials together is you're creating a stable microbial environment that has a high population of soil microorganisms. And what those can do is they can work with the root systems of plants, they can help them pull atmospheric carbon and nitrogen out of the air and sequester it in the ground. Just a little bit of compost makes a huge difference in a soil's overall carrying ability for carbon.
Carbon farming is reimagining that connection where every bite we eat is actually climate beneficial, that bite was grown in a way that is sequestering carbon into our soils where it is of greatest benefit to all of life.
Along with the 6 tons a week of spent grain that we send to the farm for composting, we're also delivering waste beer just to be spread on the fields as fertilizer. We refer to as beerigation.
Our primary focus is growing soil, but the best way to express that is to also grow produce. The naturally balanced levels of nitrogen and phosphorus that come from the spent grain compost are amazing for fruiting plants. So we grow a mixed variety of produce year-round on the farm, and it goes to North Coast Brewing Company's tap room. And we also do several farmers markets and some other wholesale accounts like natural food stores.
The example that we're setting for other breweries is that there are ways to responsibly deal with a waste stream. In the process, we're making beautiful compost out of our spent grain. Gowan is growing amazing vegetables on her farm. We're providing lovely fresh produce for our restaurant, and we're sequestering carbon.
To be in this position as a young farmer, to be able to say that I own my land, that I'm in partnership with a brewing company, it's an absolute dream situation.
San Francisco International Airport is one of many Bay Area organizations looking for ways to improve their environmental footprint and to ensure the continuation of their business through conservation efforts. Together with other forward-thinking sustainable businesses like Devil's Canyon Brewing and Silicon Valley's ohmconnect, the Bay Area is devoting people, research, and action to create sustainable enterprises. At Bay Area workplaces, sustainability is taking off.
Sustainability is important for SFO as a public entity. We feel that we're in a very unique role in terms of the people we come in contact with, that they understand that this city has made sustainability a priority.
Welcome to San Francisco International Airport.
SFO is definitely like a medium-sized city. It has 40,000 employees that work here every day, and it has a transient population, the traveling public, of 150,000 people that travel through our facility every day.
We make sure that our passengers have exposure to environmental opportunities to take action while they're here at our airport.
Here at SFO, we divert our waste by making it easy to compost and recycle all the material here at Terminal 2.
We're looking to have all of our power that we use on the property generated on the property.
Just in the last 3 years, we've been able to reduce our energy use as a campus by about 34 gigawatt hours, which is really significant. Water use by over 100 million gallons.
San Francisco International Airport has a little over 180 plus tenants. In order to be certified as a green business, each tenant has to go through a checklist process to do with water conservation, energy conservation, waste diversion, and pollution control.
The gateway to SFO is really our Redwood Grove, actually mitigating carbon that's emitted here on our campus. We were the first LEED Gold terminal campus in the country.
Through all of our investment and major infrastructure projects, we've been able to reduce our greenhouse gas footprint by 30% since 1990.
We take full advantage of the natural light here. It saves us a significant amount of energy throughout the airport.
SFO is very proud in leading the way of social equity.
We ensured that everyone here at the airport get fair wages, have benefits, and the right compensation. And we know that that's led to operational efficiency, resulting in 15% savings with turnover reduction.
People are usually pretty surprised that the airport has a biologist, and that's because usually when people go to the airport, all they see is the tarmac and the buildings, but there really is a lot of wildlife that lives both at the airport and across 101 here at our West of Bayshore property, where we have endangered San Francisco garter snakes and threatened California red-legged frogs. This endangered snake only lives in San Mateo County, essentially. The fact that this population is doing so well is really great as a result of the airport's efforts to protect this property and to do habitat restoration.
SFO is a model for the industry, and we have set the standard, and it has been used by other airports around the country. You can only do this in an environment where you're supported, and that's why it's exciting to be here.
It doesn't take a huge operation to support sustainability. Devil's Canyon Brewery is proof.
Devil's Canyon Brewing Company has been in business now for 14 years.
We produce in between 10 and 15 different styles of products. The majority are award-winning.
We focused on sustainability before we knew that that's really what it was. The build out of this building was quite a process.
We saw that the building needed lots of rehab. We came in and we removed the drop ceilings, found broken beams, and went through and rebuilt it. Some of the wood that you see here was actually a building in Menlo Park. It was a home that we deconstructed and then brought those elements into the brewery to build a lot of the aesthetic and also the structural pieces within the brewery.
This is our redwood entry bar, and it came from a good friend's house. He had a bunch of felled trees, and we were able to get a nice slice for this bar.
The tap handles originated as some scrap metal that we had laying around, and we took those and we cut them into what you see today.
And this is our container bar. We took one of our shipping containers from our yard and turned it into a bar.
This room here is a prime example of our reutilization efforts. The tank right here came from Roche and Genentech. All the pumps, literally all the fittings and parts. We took all of those devices out of buildings and they were literally going to be thrown away. Some of the things that we haven't been able to use here, they're then rebuilt and then sold on the open market. So it's actually become a revenue source for us as well.
It pains both of us to see the waste.
Yeah. Part of our approach to sustainability is that we're constantly looking for new ideas, and we were approached to test out a new biogas generation system.
Here we have our spent grain from the brew. A percentage of the spent grain goes into the IBR, the biodigester.
And we're testing it to see if we can't use it for cogeneration on site. And hopefully, within the next few years, we may be able to do that. Our philosophy for sustainability goes beyond just our current business. We've had many groups contact us and ask us for assistance in sustainable practices.
We share our kegs with other breweries. It makes a lot more sense to use a keg sharing service where we have what we need and then it gets dispersed to other breweries when they need them and everyone wins.
Social equity and community are critical to our business. The majority of our employees live in the local area. Our goal is to hire local people and take people that don't necessarily have skill and grow them into new positions. And so we really have become a brewery training facility, if you will.
The last Friday of the month is our big open house where we have 2 bands and it's a family community party. And you know, people with mohawks and grandmas and walkers and everybody is just having a good time together.
A percentage of our proceeds go to our Cheers for Charity program, which is benefiting our local community charities, and we support those through that event.
It's just a really cool feeling knowing that we are making a product that people love, and we're loving doing it.
Another product people find useful is the power-saving app ohmconnect.
ohmconnect is an energy sharing service. We pay people to reduce their electricity 1 or 2 times a week. What's unique about ohmconnect is we aggregate hundreds of thousands of users and have them all reduce at the exact same time so that we can sell that power back to the grid as a virtual power plant.
The product itself is a website that users can access on their computers and also on their phones.
ohmconnect texts you when you can earn money by saving energy. You turn things off for an hour, and we pay.
When demand is really high, which is also when power that would be used is often really dirty, we're able to reduce the number of people that actually are using power and therefore help the environment and help people save money. We notify our members via text message and email, and we say, hey, right now is an ohm hour.
Hey kids, ohm hour!
Ohm hour, ohm hour, kids. Ohm hour. For this next hour, try to use as little energy as you possibly can.
Ohm hour!
We really taken the gaming ideas and applied them to how people can actually become excited about energy saving.
Users earn points when they save energy. People can get on streaks, so each successive ohm hour that you save energy, you earn just a little bit more. If you cross a certain threshold, whatever percentage, you end up earning more and more kind of status level benefits.
The end of the hour will let you know if you use less than whatever we hoped you would. And if you do, we give you points. And those points you can then cash out using PayPal. Or they can actually elect to donate the money that they've earned to a cause.
really excited to see how we can start expanding nationally.
Connecting the grid, the bigger picture, with a smaller picture of smart devices through an automated system via ohmconnect is one of the things that we're really excited about.
The switch turned off the humidifier automatically.
Looks like the thermostats are turned off and the smart plugs are turned off.
In just 2 years, we've created 4 virtual power plants. And this is offsetting 4 massive power plants.
I think you got them all. Good job, guys.
We will succeed if, at the end of the day, we have hundreds of thousands of people who really, really care about saving energy.
At Roosevelt Middle School in San Francisco, educators are becoming sustainable agriculture and healthy food experts on behalf of the next generation. The food is sourced locally in the Bay Area, and students are encouraged to provide input through a mobile app so that the food prepared is not wasted. Roosevelt Middle School is serving as a nationwide research project to bring sustainable practices to schools all over the United States.
It's back to school time, and that includes me too, as I continue my appointment with the University of California. For most kids, this means rising early, homework, and yes, cafeteria dining. School lunches were never considered fancy fare. But these days, we're not only talking about better choices in school lunches, we're talking about food justice and social equity issues. But no matter how you look at it, one thing is clear. If we want to raise healthy people, helping shape the way members of future generations eat is paramount. At Roosevelt Middle School in San Francisco, there's a pilot program whose aim is to figure out ways to make school food an enjoyable experience for all students, citywide. Zeta Riker, who directs the San Francisco Unified School District's Student Nutrition Services, walked me through a bit of the background behind their new project called the Future Dining Experience.
Historically, we had kind of a one-size-fits-all for our meal program. We'd been making changes over the last 10 years. We eliminated a la carte and competitive foods, so all students have access to all meals.
So before that, if you paid, you got better food than if you got a free lunch?
I wouldn't say better food, but different. You had more choice if you had cash. And that's not really in line with our goals around social equity.
But it's not just about providing kids tastier, nutritious food. It's about the whole experience, like the actually comfortable lounge we're sitting in.
Students, they want to have their senses stimulated.
They don't want to have the food thrown at them.
Yeah, they want to feel connected to food. And so the dining space redesign found that students wanted to have a space to do activities. Having a dining space that was, just institutional, all the same tables, wasn't fitting their needs. We are also implementing what we call distributed deliciousness, choice through distributed points of service, and a different variety of meals, say a grab-and-go cart, maybe a sandwich or a wrap, things that can be eaten on the go. We are developing a smart meal app where students can provide input, but we definitely want them to be able to rate the food, give feedback.
Speaking of feedback, Zeta had me sample some of their menu items.
I'm just a fan of free lunch, so.
Yes, absolutely, especially when it's delicious free lunch. So this is the chicken pizza party salad.
Lettuce, grated cheese, chicken,
yes,
and tomato sauce.
Yes, and it's antibiotic-free chicken.
Good for you. And your sourcing has been okay. Talking and eating at the same time isn't that easy for me.
I know it has been a little bit more challenging this year, but we're still able to do it and keep within the contract price.
It's really great. Congratulations,
Yeah,
that's really good.
yeah, we're very proud.
This all looks and sounds great, and the food wasn't bad either. But can it really work? That's where Chris Madsen comes in. Dr. Madsen of the UC Berkeley-UCSF Joint Medical Program is leading a study to evaluate the project.
We come in and we overlay a scientific evaluation that will hold water with other schools, other districts, both locally, across the state, and even across the nation. And we look to see, well, what really happens? Do kids change their dietary habit? I mean, do they actually eat more fruits and vegetables? Does their diet improve? Can we decrease plate waste in the schools? So how can we get kids to feel like this is my choice, this is what I want, and therefore I'm eating it and I'm eating all of it?
A big question, too, is can this really be used to get the school to improve stuff per the kids' desires?
What really drives their behavior? Convenience is huge. So have you ever been in a high school during lunch?
Well, not for many years.
Not for many years, right? The lines are out the door. So kids can't even get their meal before the bell rings to go to the next class. So what if you could get your food in a hallway? A mobile cart that sold hot food, and you could pick it up and then eat with your friends out in the quad. How do you make the easy choice the healthy choice?
So when is this starting?
The school that we're in today, Roosevelt, is one of the pilot schools. We'll tweak it based on what kids say, and then next year is when it gets rolled out to 12 schools. And we'll continue to monitor because we want to see what happens in the real world.
I'm interested in the real world too. So I joined 2 students for a meal from a mobile cart to see what they thought.
I like the food here a lot.
They just picked you because you were going to say that.
No, actually it's really good.
Yeah, this is food that I would make at home.
It'll be interesting to see how this turns out and if it's socially and financially sustainable. Because really, anything that can be done to improve kids' nutrition and increase their awareness of our food system should score high marks.
Sustainability is more than a catchphrase or a marketing device. If we can make our communities sustainable, that means the things we enjoy about life in the Bay Area will be available to generations to come. Sustainability is about thinking ahead, planning for the future, and using resources wisely. If we want our children and theirs to have healthy food, clean air and water, and a chance to pursue fulfilling lives, then we need to remember that sustainability is an important part of what makes the Bay Area bountiful.